Hello, this is Africa Diary and my name is Ajara Tijani. In African continent, many things have happened. In Ethiopia, election has come and gone. African Union says it was peaceful, but in the northernmost part of the country, there was an airstrike. The question here is, how peaceful could that be? Also, in Uganda, COVID-19 is still ravaging like a wildfire or a hydra-headed monster. Also, the feud, or should I call it row, between Egypt, Sudan and Ethiopia is still lingering. In some parts of West Africa, a lot have happened. Of course, one person was sentenced for a life imprisonment for a coup. And of course, in the Africa's populous nation, Nigeria, there was a turbulence around Twitter ban. With these and many more, of course, in Somali region, many things have happened. So, welcome to Africa Diary once again, a program designed to update you on what have happened over the week and projecting into what could possibly happen in weeks to come. My name is Ajara Tijani once again. Africa Diary is the program coming to you from CBAtv. Welcome. In case you're just joining us, this is Africa Diary, and as always on the program, we start from the home front. Now here in Somaliland, many things happen, but the highlight is what we're going to serve you. Somaliland President Musa Abdi has received regional delegates arriving at the capital, at the coastal city, Berbera, to attend the inauguration of the completion of the first phase of Berbera port expansion.
Ethiopia has sent a delegation led by the country's finance minister, Ahmed Shide, to Somaliland, where they arrived in the coastal city Berbera to attend the inauguration of the completion of the first phase of Berbera port expansion. This delegation included the president of the Somali regional state of Ethiopia, Mustafa Akjar. Somaliland President Musa Bihi, who traveled to the coastal city on Wednesday, has received the Ethiopian delegation and other dignitaries from other parts of the world. According to the Somaliland presidency, Musa Bihi held a meeting with the Ethiopian delegation, though they have not revealed the agenda of their meeting for the public. Other dignitaries of regional and international level landed in Somaliland for the past few hours to attend the ceremony. Former Prime Minister of Guinea-Bissau, Bakir Jah, is also a member of the African delegates who are currently present in Berbera. The President of the Republic of Somaliland will shortly inaugurate the newly constructed and modernized Berbera port, which will make this Horn of Africa state an important regional logistic and trade hub. Hamza Dabcher, CBA.
Now, elections in Somaliland have come and gone. Then the president of the Republic of Somaliland, Musa Abdi, has met with Somaliland women who participated in the country's last parliamentary and mayoral elections but couldn't clinch a seat to represent their people in the parliament.
madaxweyne horta marka ugu horeysa waxaan kaaga mahad celinaynaa sida wanaagsan ee xishmadu ku jirto ee nooga aqbashay inaad maanta na siiso waqtigaagii qaaliga ahaa.
Minister of the Environment and Development, Mrs. Shukri Haji Ismail Bandari, thanked the president for holding such a crucial meeting with the women who did not succeed in their wishes to be part of the representatives. The chairman of the Women's Umbrella of Nagag, Mrs. Ismahan Abdesalan Hassan, expressed the determination of women in leadership roles in the country, adding that women in general don't give up in their efforts. Professor Ahmed Ismail Samatar, a Somaliland Don, said it is high time Somaliland women overcome all the challenges facing them which he believed government cannot solve alone. The President of the Republic of Somaliland, CBAtv, will listen carefully to the proposals of women, advise women to achieve big success and overcome most of the challenges militating against their potential representation in governance, adding that his administration will leave no stone unturned to ensure that women take their position in the leadership role of the country. There are 2 women from the East who won in the last local council elections, but none could secure a single seat in parliamentary poll. Still talking about women participation in the political scene in Somaliland, Khadijat Ahmed became the first female mayor of Bohodle district in Somaliland and the second female mayor in history of the country. She was among the only 2 female candidates out of 28 who managed to secure their political position.
The newly elected local council members of Bohodle district held the first meeting after the regional court approved the preliminary results issued by the country's electoral commission. During the first sitting, the newly elected local council members of the city voted for Khadija Ahmed to be the mayor, making her the first female politician to hold that position in the district and the second female to serve as mayor in Somaliland history. She was elected from the ruling party Kulmiye, which lost the mayoral race of the big cities. During her victory speech, she promised that she will fulfill all her campaign pledges and asked the general public to support her for the accomplishment. She stated that she will treat those who voted for her or voted against her equally and called for unity. Meanwhile, the local council members elected Mustafa Ayanle to be the deputy mayor of the district. He was elected from the main opposition party Wadani. Senior government officials, including the governor of Bohodle, were present at the event. In their remarks, the government officials extended a congratulatory message to the newly elected mayor and her deputy. They also advised them to do their best to achieve greater development within the coming 5 years.
Away from Somaliland to Somalia, a group of young Somali migrant girls housed in a government-run detention center in Libya have accused the guards at the facility of sexual assault. The teenage girls were rescued in February this year by Libyan security forces and have been in custody of the Shara al-Zawiya center located in Tripoli. A Somali migrant teenager told the media that she was sexually assaulted by Libyan guards at the government-run center in the Libyan capital Tripoli. She and 4 other Somali teenagers who underwent similar abuses are pleading to be released from Shara al-Zawiya detention center. It is one of a network of centers run by Libya's Department for Combating Illegal Immigration, DCIM, which is supported by European Union, EU. Smugglers and traffickers in Libya have long been notorious for brutalizing migrants. But rights groups and United Nations agencies say abuse also takes place in the official DCIM-run facilities. Sexual violence and exploitation are rife in several detention centers for migrants across the country. Tariq Lamloum, a Libyan activist working with the Baladi Organization for Human Rights, told media. The United Nations Refugee Agency documented hundreds of cases of women raped while in either DCIM detention or traffickers' prisons, with some even being impregnated by guards and given birth during detention, said Vincent Coquetel, the agency's special envoy for Central Mediterranean. At least 2 of the girls attempted to kill themselves in late May following alleged beatings and attempted rapes, according to local rights groups Libyan Crime Watch and United Nations agencies. The case of the teens in Shara al-Zawiya also renews questions about the EU's role in the cycle of violence trapping migrants and asylum seekers in Libya. The European Union trains, equips and supports the Libyan Coast Guard to intercept people trying to cross the central Mediterranean to Europe. At least 677 people are known to have either died or gone missing taking this route, riding on unseaworthy boats so far this year. Nearly 13,000 men, women and children have been intercepted by the Libyan Coast Guard and returned to Libyan shores from the start of the year up to June 12th, a record number. Most are then placed in DCIM-run centers. Still in Somalia, The head of Turkish Space Agency has reported it was considering the construction of a spaceport in Somalia as part of a $1 billion plan to develop a space exploration program in the country.
Başladı aslında. Bu iki ülkenin temsilcileriyle de görüşüyoruz.
Turkey is in talks with 3 countries as it seeks help in developing a spaceport in Somalia and a rocket to carry out lunar landings, according to the head of its space agency. Serdar Hussein Yildirim, head of the Turkish Space Agency, made his comments to news agency on the sidelines of the Global Space Exploration Conference held in St. Petersburg between the 14th and 18th of June. Although he did not specify which countries were involved, but his remarks suggested Russia was one of them. We will work with Russia in many areas on the spaceport. On rocket engines, we discussed the possibility of Russia providing assistance in the construction of our spaceport. They have a great deal of experience in this area, both in launch pads and spaceports themselves, Yildirim commented. According to Recep Tayyip Erdogan, the president of Turkey, this is aimed at carrying out a hard landing on the moon in 2023, the centenary of the founding of modern Turkey. This mission will allow Turkish scientists to gain experience for a soft landing in 2028, followed by the carrying out of scientific experiments and the development of an exploration vehicle. Yildirim added that Turkey had held talks with the Center for Operation of Space Ground-Based Infrastructure, a subsidiary of Russian space agency Roscosmos, and more detailed planning may begin in the next year. Once the location of the spaceport is finalized with Somalia, Turkey launched its space agency in December 2018. In 2020, it announced the testing of a rocket developed by defense contractor Roketsan. It is also planning to send a Turkish astronaut to the International Space Station and launch satellites to set up its own global positioning system. In an interview with Sputnik last week, Yildirim indicated that the country's space agency was working on nearly 30 separate projects and that it has held talks with about 20 countries on space cooperation, including Ukraine, Kazakhstan, Russia, Japan, China, Pakistan, India, and Azerbaijan. Residents of the tiny Horn of African nation, Djibouti, including foreigners, have been compelled by the government to get vaccinated as the country faces spike in the spread of coronavirus pandemic. Djibouti's President Ismail Omar Guelleh issued a decree Monday announcing that it is a must to vaccinate the country's adult population and its foreign residents against the coronavirus. On his Twitter page, Health Minister Ahmed Roblu said the president issued a presidential decree making vaccination against COVID-19 compulsory for individuals over 25 years old, including Djibouti nationals and foreigners residing in the country. In Djibouti, from January 3, 2020 to June 21, 2021, there have been 11,587 confirmed cases of COVID-19, according to the World Health Organization (WHO). The small country, which only has a population of slightly over 1 million, has so far recorded 155 deaths from the pandemic. A total of 21,357 vaccine doses have been administered in the country so far. Djibouti, bordering Somalia in the south and the Red Sea and Gulf of Aden in the east, is a small country located in the Horn of Africa. The United States and United Nations on Wednesday called on Ethiopia to, as a matter of urgency, investigate an airstrike that killed dozens of people in a busy market in the village of Togoga in northern Tigray region. U.S. State Department spokesman Ned Price condemned the reprehensible act on Tuesday, which killed at least 51 people and wounded more than 100, reports said. We also called for an urgent and independent investigation as well as remedial action to hold those responsible for this attack accountable. Ramesh Rajasingham, the UN's acting head of humanitarian affairs, said he was deeply disturbed by the attack and report of soldiers blocking roads and holding up ambulances. The airstrike came amid some of the fiercest fighting to hit Tigray since the conflict erupted in November, when Ethiopian forces backed by neighboring Eritrea and allied militias entered the region. to remove the ruling Tigray People's Liberation Front. Wounded patients being treated at Haidar Hospital in the regional capital, Mekele, told healthcare workers that a plane had dropped a bomb on the Togoga market. The patients include a 2-year-old with abdominal trauma and a 6-year-old, a nurse said. An ambulance carrying a wounded baby to Mekele, almost 60 kilometers away by the road, was blocked for 2 hours. The baby died on the way, the nurse said, speaking on condition of anonymity for fear of reprisals. A convoy of ambulances trying to reach Togoga, about 25 kilometers west of Tigray's main city Mekele, was turned back on Tuesday afternoon by soldiers near Tukul, health workers said. More ambulances were turned back later in the day and on Wednesday morning, but one group of medical workers reached the site on Tuesday evening by a different route. This month, humanitarian agencies said that 350,000 people in Tigray are facing famine. Aid workers have said that they have been repeatedly denied access to several parts of the region. Sudan's foreign minister has written to the UN Security Council to intervene on the row over Ethiopia's Grand Renaissance Dam, Gerd, on the Nile River. Sudan wants the council to meet and discuss the dam's impact on the safety and security of millions of people. Minister Miriam Al-Mahdi's letter to the council head asked him to urge Ethiopia to stop the unilateral filling of the dam. Talks brokered by the African Union have failed and the dispute over the filling of the dam continues. Ethiopia says the dam is vital for its development as it could bring power to 60% of the population. Egypt says it threatens the flow of the Nile, which sustains life there. Sudan, which sits on the river between the two countries, says filling the dam without solving outstanding issues will threaten national security. Sudan wants Ethiopia to commit to a legally binding agreement rather than guidelines on the amount of water retained and the timetable for the filling of the reservoir. It also wants clarity on how disputes will be resolved in the future. Ethiopia is pinning its hopes of economic development and power generation on the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam, Gerd. Egypt fears the dam will imperil its water supply, and Sudan is concerned about the impact on its own water flows. Both countries blame the failure of the AU-sponsored talks on what they described as Ethiopia's intransigence. Ethiopia has said it plans to complete the second phase of filling the dam in the coming rainy season, a move Sudan and Egypt rejected before a binding legal agreement was reached. Sudan said Ethiopia began the second phase of filling the reservoir behind Chad in early May. And still from the Northern Africa, a preliminary compensation deal has been reached between Egyptian authorities and the owners and insurers of the giant ship that blocked the Suez Canal earlier this year. The owners and insurers of Ever Given ship and the Suez Canal authorities have been in dispute over compensation that has seen the container ship detained for months. The Canals Authority initially demanded over $900 million to cover costs including for lost revenues and reputational damage while the ship was stuck on the canal. The ship's Japanese owners and its insurers disputed the claim as well as its detention. The Canal authorities later lowered the compensation request to $550 million. On Wednesday, the ship owner and insurers representatives and the Canal's chairman announced a deal and said that they will sign a final settlement soon. The Ever Given had wedged across the Suez Canal for almost a week in March before it was freed on 29 March. Since then, it has been anchored in a lake between two stretches of the canal pending resolution of the compensation disputes. The ship blocked one of the world's busiest trade routes, forcing companies to reroute ships and causing long tailbacks of hundreds of vessels. And from West Africa, the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, has pledged to continue to monitor events in Mali following a coup before lifting its suspension from the regional bloc.
The Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, has pledged to continue to monitor events in Mali following a coup before lifting its suspension from the regional bloc. Mali has announced a new civilian government and promised to adhere to a roadmap to elections early next year after the coup in May led by Colonel Assimi Goïta. Goita led a coup last August with other army officers to remove elected President Ibrahim Boubacar Keïta after weeks of mass protest over corruption and long-running extremist attacks. Earlier in May, the West African regional body suspended Mali from its regional bloc in response to last coup, but stopped short of imposing new sanctions. Also, France, which has thousands of troops stationed in the war-torn country, suspended military cooperation with Mali. While speaking on the latest development in Mali, ECOWAS Commission Chief Jean-Claude Cassibrou said after an ECOWAS summit in Ghana's capital, Accra, that there were positive developments from Bamako and the regional body will continue to observe as expected. He, however, said heads of state decided more monitoring was needed before lifting Mali's suspension. Meanwhile, Goita has expressed his unwavering commitment to restore civilian rule in the country. The colonel appointed a civilian prime minister in keeping with international demands and said he would stage elections next February. Kamel Sadiq reporting for CBAtv.
From the Africa's populous nation Nigeria, after a group of Nigerians went to ECOWAS Court of Justice to fight the recent ban on Twitter, a West African court ruled against the government, restraining them from unlawfully prosecuting people from using Twitter.
Twitter has not been banned. We've only suspended, albeit indefinitely, the operations of Twitter in Nigeria. Second, and it's very important, we are suspending their operations indefinitely for the simple reason that the platform is being used persistently to promote activities that will lead to the death of Nigeria as a country.
As a response to the ban, the Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project, SERAP, a local rights group, along with 176 other Nigerians, proceeded to court to fight the ban. Now, on Tuesday, a statement that described the suspension of Twitter as an attempt to silence government critics quoted the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS's Court of Justice, as saying it was restraining the government from acting against citizens or media outlets over the use of Twitter. The lawsuit's applicants had argued that the suspension of Twitter, quote, escalated repression of human rights and unlawfully restricted the rights of Nigerians to freedoms of expression, access to information, and media freedom in the country.
Twitter has allowed this platform to be used by people who are promoting the disintegration of Nigeria.
Now, there was no immediate comment by the Nigerian government following Tuesday's ruling. Nigeria's Information Minister Lai Mohammed has previously said the suspension had nothing to do with Buhari's tweet being deleted, but rather with separatists inciting violence online.
Well, that's where we draw the curtain on update of the program that you always love to see. I'm talking about Africa Diary. Yes, speaking of Africa, let's give you what we have in Africa. We'll be right back. All right, that was very, very insightful and very thoughtful, and I'm sure you've learned one or two things from that. So don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe to our channel, and hopefully next week we'll come with yet another fresh edition of Africa Diary. My name remains Ajara Tijani. Bye for now.